Hey, I'm Jess Hugo, personal trainer and nutritionist, and I am here to show you that life is messy, but we're doing it anyway. Welcome to Doing It Anyway, the podcast for building the life that you want without burning out. Let's get into it. We truly need more experiences, not just goals. And I have been talking about this a lot lately. We are so good at setting goals. We can set them so easily. Oh, I want to lose weight. I want to build confidence. I want to get my life together, feel better in my body, become that version of ourselves, become that girl. But then there's this gap between we know exactly what we want to achieve. Sometimes we can actually think about it all the time. We know we want to achieve that, but it still doesn't feel like reality. It doesn't feel like it's within reach. And even sometimes when we achieve what we want, it doesn't feel like enough. And we immediately move on to what's next. What's the next move? What am I working on next? What still needs fixing in my life? Why is this not perfect yet? Now I'm going to nitpick my relationship. Now I'm going to nitpick this. We never truly feel content, feel like her, and feel happy. And I think this is truly why we need to have more experiences, memories, and not just focus on goals and moving the goalpost each time we tick something off. Because why does ticking off the goal not always create this feeling that we thought it would? In our head, we know that we're that girl who creates a to-do list so we can tick things off. We're that girl who loves to see that satisfying line through #achieved. But reality is it kind of has this whole build up and then nothing happens. And it's not because we're bad at execution. We're actually just really disconnected from it. The real issue here isn't that we can't follow through. It's that even when we do, we just don't get to fully experience it, to commemorate it, to actually stamp down that memory, because we're constantly overthinking, comparing ourselves to others, worrying what other people are thinking about us, when what they're going to say about us, holding ourselves back from being that version of ourselves because we're worried again what others are going to say, second guessing everything, and really shrinking ourselves even when we're doing really, really well. And I resonate with this a lot. I've talked about this before. When I booked the photo shoot and the concept and all of the things, I'd never seen anyone do it before. And I was thinking, what if people don't get it? What are people going to think? Really just second guessing everything. And I could have really shrunk myself then and held myself back and been no, I'm not going to do this. I'm really worried what people are going to say. It doesn't make sense. And I just don't think this for me. Or I could have done exactly what I did, stood in the city on a Thursday morning at 9 a.m. when it's fucking peak hour and taken up space and done the thing. And if it didn't land for someone, that's fine. That if someone's going to judge me, that's fine. That they're just not for me, because the girls in my world thought it was fucking cool. I thought it was fucking cool. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters to me. But when we achieve things, we don't fully land in them. And it's we're never fully in the moment we work so hard for. Have you ever worked so hard for a promotion and then you get the promotion and you just are yep, cool. Maybe there's some incentives of that, right? Maybe you've gotten a pay rise, so you're seeing your bank account go up. Maybe you are, being able to spend more money, but then also you might have a terrible relationship with money and be in a scarcity mindset where you are saving every single last dollar and refusing to spend anything on yourself. And whilst this is not financial advice and we're not going into the money mindset side of things, I think it's a really cool perspective to see how you reacted in that situation. Funny how you didn't go and purchase something to celebrate the time. Funny how you didn't take yourself out for a nice dinner or go on a nice date night with your partner or a girls' night out to celebrate your promotion. It's because we have to make ourselves so small that our achievement never feels like enough. We've been so conditioned to stay humble, not take up too much space, not be too much, not celebrate ourselves too loudly, always think of other people's thoughts and worry about others first, that we actually can't even celebrate ourselves. And I think that this comes from everyone being so involved in everyone's lives, whether that's through finding out through social media, whether that's through friends of friends. And I think I was even talking to someone today and she was like, oh, this girl, we used to be friends, and she was telling me all this stuff. And I was like, how do you even know all of this, right? If you're not friends anymore, it just feels so weirdly interconnected. But that's why we also can't cast judgments of what someone chooses to share on social media. Why don't we actually just be proud of ourselves and not worry about what other people are going to think? Why can't we just be ourselves and be I got a promotion, and not be worried about how our friends are going to take that? Because now when we do something meaningful, we don't even really let ourselves sit in it. We actually minimize it, downplay it, and move straight on. So then the achievement happens, but that feeling doesn't land. It's the same thing with like, you had a goal to lose 5 kilos, you lost 5 kilos, no one actually cares, which feels weird to you because it's been a really big, important deal to you. But then you didn't celebrate that. So then it almost feels like, oh, it's happened, it's gone. And I think as well, when we don't really celebrate in ourselves in that as well, it almost like goes backwards. It's almost like we stop achieving that goal, meaning like we either gain back the weight or we like kind of start underperforming because we feel like, why does no one give a shit? And that's why so many of us feel like nothing is ever enough, even when we're doing really, really well, and like takes one to no one, right? I talk all the time about like how much impact I've been making in business and how successful it's been going growth wise and all of the things. And then I'm like, oh, I feel like it actually hasn't been that good. And I'm like, Jess, it actually has. It actually has. Like, relax, right? But it's because there were times where I ticked off big achievements, but then I was like worried about the next phase and worried about growth or things that happened. And even a conversation that like grounded me into this was like, something had happened and it was actually achievement, but I was viewing it kind of like negatively and worried about, oh, like what now? What does this mean now? And then I was reminded that like, actually, this is a really fucking big deal. This is so cool. Don't worry about what now. Like, that's normal. You're human. Like, you can think that, but actually celebrate that you got to this point. And stop subconsciously blocking yourself from that next chapter, which is what I was doing. I was subconsciously blocking myself because I was scared of getting to that achievement and having to continue to grow. And it's because I didn't want to celebrate that. I was scared. There was so much scarcity around it. And I couldn't acknowledge that I was actually doing well because I was so worried about what people would think, what people would say, having the hard conversations. And like, again, I'm human. I do struggle to have the hard conversations when it's like me having to have a conversation with a client about them not showing up for themselves, them not committing to themselves, whether it's, you know, having conversations about people pushing boundaries. Like, it is hard to have those conversations, right? But it's because we never want to celebrate ourselves. We're so worried about everyone else, and then it makes it hard to have a conversation, right? Makes sense. But this is why we need more experiences. Honestly though, I really want to talk into the body image side of things because I think it shows up really clearly with like how we view ourselves and how we see ourselves. Because even when things are changing in our life, whether we're making progress with weight loss, with career, in the dating world, we're going on more dates, putting ourselves out there, meeting people, we're literally actively doing the work. Things are actively improving. Our body is changing. Our experiences are changing. We never see it in the time. We never see it clearly. And like, not to go down the whole body dysmorphia route, but how often are you like actively losing weight, but you can't see it when you look in the mirror because we see ourselves every single day and we're so like warped and our perception is so warped that we then convince ourselves that we're not losing any weight. But like, we are. We just tell ourselves we're not, right? So instead of recognizing progress, we really default to like, what still needs fixing? What don't we like yet? What's not, like, where are we not doing good enough? What are we still avoiding? And that can show up really obviously through like how we're avoiding photos, how we're not wearing the clothes that fit our current body, and we're actually just hiding under really oversized tops, hiding our arms with long sleeves, even though it's summer, still dressing for this older version of ourselves, and just avoiding being fully seen, not wanting to take up space because we haven't worked on our mindset side of things, and like nothing's really changed on that front, because your perception hasn't really caught up with like your reality of things. And I think this is the part where so many of us miss, and I've talked about this before, that self-sabotage cycle. We're starting to see results, we get scared, our brain convinces us that we're not, and then we start going backwards and ruining our results for ourselves because we're not just like achieving those things, we're failing to notice them. We're nitpicking other things, and then things are falling apart because we're not actually able to fully recognize ourselves in the process. So then we don't get there. And it's like an identity lag of things, right? And this is where it all kind of connects. We don't have an achievement problem. We don't have, like, I feel like I see a lot of inquiries saying I'm very lazy, I'm very undisciplined, unmotivated. That's not the problem. The problem is that we have this like identity lag where we're seeing ourselves as lazy. We're seeing ourselves as incapable because we're not trusting ourselves, because we don't actually have experiences to back that up. We don't experience doing the hard thing, showing up when it's uncomfortable, being seen before we feel ready, living our life as it changes. We don't actually experience, going and doing a photo shoot. We don't experience like going on a solo date, putting ourselves out there and dating different guys. I was talking to one of my clients and she was like, oh, like, yeah, I'm on the apps, but like just no one's been that good. So I haven't really been going and I blah, 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 like all these things. And I was like, well, if you're going to not go, you're not going to meet someone. You're telling me you want to meet someone, but you're not taking it seriously and you're not going and things like that. You're not having those experiences and putting yourself in the room to see the thing and to have that outcome. So how are we supposed to get to Z if we're not even willing to do X, Y, Z, Like she won't even initiate the date, plan the date, go on the date. So how is she expecting to, have the family, right? Because we're not having that experience. We're too worried about everyone else, everything else. Our confidence is lacking and we're not doing the hard things. And I think as well, that's why when we do kind of eventually arrive at that goal of things, like a job promotion, it doesn't feel like you because you've reached it, but internally you haven't caught up. Internally, you're 20 steps behind, convincing yourself that you're incapable of that achievement, convincing yourself that you didn't deserve it, that you do not trust yourself enough to actually see the result. So I think when I talk about all of this, like really leaning into that mindset side of things, how do you think about your goals? How do you think about yourself building confidence? How do you feel about yourself and these experiences? Like this is the shift here. Our goals give us direction, but experiences matter more than goals because experiences are actually how they shape how we see ourselves. They are the shape and the umbrella of like what we're doing. So when we're showing up consistently, that's through experiences of getting in the gym, getting into a group workout and, meeting other people, ticking the boxes of in Woolworths, actively and consciously picking up good, healthy items that align with your deficit. The thing that always baffles me is when clients say, oh, like, I just ate a whole Ben & Jerry's tub. And I'm like, okay, but what was the mindset in Woolies? And again, takes one to know one, right? I know when I was like in a deficit, quote unquote, but I was like really struggling with it because I find them as well very mentally fatiguing and draining when you're in them long term and they're not sustainable and all of the things. Like I've talked about all of this before. I would stand in Woolies and I'd pick up the Ben & Jerry's knowing that it didn't serve my goals and it was going to derail me in the week and I would buy it anyway. I was subconsciously stopping myself and blocking myself from seeing that result by literally just buying this thing that did not align with my goals at all because I knew for me that I would like not eat the whole tub but eat half the tub. And guys, Ben & Jerry's is actually diabolical. The calories and the macros and the freaking sugar and shit, not to fucking scare you, but it's diabolical, right? So I knew that didn't align with me. I knew that was going to sabotage me and I would still do it. I would still do things that didn't align with my goals. Why was I doing that? Because I was making myself be put in a situation where I wasn't going to be seen, right? Because I wasn't going to achieve my goal by doing that. Does that make sense? Lexi has just joined the chat. She's sniffing all in the mic. Sorry about that. But yeah, this is where confidence is actually built. Allowing yourself to be part of your life, be present in your life, be seen and pushing past that avoidance and that area of I can't do this because you can do it. You just need to live that experience and see yourself in it and not get so caught up in the like, how am I looking day to day? Because something I need to remind you of is when you're looking at yourself in the mirror every single day, you're not going to see those changes because you see yourself every single day. One of my clients said her family like live far away. She went down, hasn't seen them for a few months since we started. And they were like, we can see like you've lost weight, especially in your face. And she was like, yeah, like I've been working with PT. And I was like, see? And I bet you thought you hadn't seen any changes. And she's like, no, I'm like worried about doing my, measurements and weight and stuff because I feel like I haven't lost anything. And I was like, but that's just because we see ourselves every single day. And we're never like actually just like saying, oh my God, I actually hit all my sessions this week. We don't celebrate ourselves in the moment. I was like, if you take these stats and, you're a couple kilos down from what you think you are and all these things, we can actually celebrate that. We want to like live in that instead of living in the after mindset, right? Because so many of us are stuck in this constant after. I'll do that when I lose the weight. I'll book that trip when I feel more confident. I'll wear that tight crop top when I'm more toned. I'll take photos when I'm happy with myself. But when life becomes something you're constantly preparing for, instead of something you're in, Birthday after birthday is missed where you're not achieving it. Like, how many times have you told yourself, yep, by my 21st birthday, I'm going to look so fit. By my 24th birthday, let's say 25th birthday, I'm going to look, 10 out of 10. My skin's going to be so clear. I'm going to have my arms out in a spaghetti strap. And it never happens. And it's not because you're incapable. It's because you're always planning for this future version with no plan in place, with no experiences in place. I think the biggest takeaway from this is nothing changes if nothing changes, right? So how are we going to get you 5 to 10 kilos down if you're doing nothing about it right now? You're not planning for it. You haven't got a routine in place, and you're not doing anything to push yourself outside of your comfort zone to get there. The real shift here is participating in your life. It's not about glowing up in a particular way in all those glow up routines. It's about allowing yourself to participate in your life now and chip away and build those blocks of confidence. So wearing the outfit anyway. You can actively work on your weight loss and still like where you're at and be confident where you're at and wear outfits anyway. It's the same as you can be happy in your relationship and you can still hate how your body looks in the mirror. Two things can coexist. Right? I'm sick of everyone saying oh no, I've just gained 10 kilos because I'm in a happy relationship. Yep. And you're reaching out to me for a reason. You're in denial, but you're reaching out to me for a reason. You're not liking how you look in the mirror. And that's okay. We can admit, God forbid, that our boyfriend eats so much fucking food and we sniff the food that he's eating and we gain all the weight. You know what I mean? We can admit that and say, I'm not happy with where I'm at. And sometimes it feels like your partner's not supporting you, right? But have you had a conversation with him? Probably not. And it's we need that external person to talk to, right? I'm going on a tangent, but it's actually doing the little steps now to take that next step. So going to the event anyway. Don't go to the event just because you don't like how you look. Find a new outfit. Don't not take selfies because you're not happy with how your body looks. Well, selfies is your face, but you know what I mean? Because you're not happy with how your face looks, because you've got a bit of acne. Do it anyway. Do the thing before you feel ready. Stop letting yourself not be seen in the process. As I said, my biggest regret is not taking photos, not having that time to look back on. And I can't think of that time other than how I actively hated how I looked. When I think of that time, I can't think of anything that I was doing, experiencing any of the things. I see girls go on such big trips to Europe and things and not even take photos of themselves because they hate how they look. You have two options. Get into coaching before you go on that holiday, or start working towards yourself now. I don't care if your holiday is coming up in 2 months. 2 months of work is still plenty of time. Stop leaving it so last minute though. The amount of inquiries I've been getting lately that say, yep, I have an event in a month or two. Girl, give yourself a little more time than that. Please, lovingly, we need a little bit more time than that. But stop thinking, yep, by this date, I'm going to be 5 kilos down, and actually be in the journey, be in the process and experience the things. Stop accelerating your life. I saw something recently saying, why does life suddenly feel so quick and all the months and days are going so quick? And it's true. How the hell are we, halfway through the year? But it's because we're not doing anything new. We're not doing anything challenging. We're not actually pushing outside our comfort zone. And don't get me wrong, I love a good bed rotting. I love a good no plan day. I love a good regular bakery visit. But we need to do something different. We need to book a solo date to the movies. We need to do a pottery class. We need to go and do a breathwork session, a dance class. We need to do something fun and different to experience and slow down the time and show ourselves what we're capable of. I just think so many of us are so much closer to the life we want than we actually realize. We're just not used to letting ourselves enjoy that and be fully in it. And right now, maybe the real glow up isn't even about being a different weight in a different job. Maybe it's just about actually fully allowing yourself to experience the life you're already building, to allow yourself to fully back yourself into this next stage of your life. I don't know, lots to think about, but honestly, we need more experiences. Stop writing down goals. Start writing down, I want to experience this by this date. Whether it's climbing the Harbour Bridge, whether it's going overseas, whether it's solo traveling, interstate, whether it's doing a road trip to a random state or around Australia. Remember on a road trip to Melbourne? Random as. I just plucked that out of thin air. I just wanted to go to Melbourne. I'd never been. And then my partner was like, well, why don't we just do a road trip? So random, right? But that experience gave me so much insight. One, I don't want to go back to Melbourne. But more importantly, I wouldn't have known that Rural Victoria is actually really nice. I wouldn't have seen the 12 apostles. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many different things. And if I was too afraid to get in that photo, I wouldn't have a photo of me in front of them, right? So let's start experiencing more. Stop relying on writing these goals that we never achieve, or writing goals that are too easy for us. Like 2026, the rest of this year is your year to do the hard things, get uncomfortable, get outside your comfort zone and build that confidence. I'm excited to see it. You better go and book a trip. You better go inquire with that coach. You better go apply for that job promotion. You can do hard things. I'm excited for this next stage and level for you. And that is a wrap on another episode of Doing It Anyway. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would love for you to rate it 5 stars, share it with your friends, share it on your stories. And if you have any feedback, I would love to hear it. Please shoot me a DM on Instagram. All my links are below. See you in the next episode.